Virginia. So it didn't take long for Virginia Democrats or Democrats at the national level to immediately start tweeting, texting journalists, pointing the blame at progressives, people like Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. How in the world did we lose in Virginia? We're Democrats. You love us. We're so good. Biden won by 10 points. How did we possibly lose? Let's blame it on the radical far left wing of our party. Those people that want to fight for health care for people. Those people who want community college for people. Those people who don't want to be saddled with massive student loan debt, right? These are the loud voices of the Democratic Party that the corporate Democrats can't stand. The people like Joe Biden can't stand it. You want $15 an hour minimum wage? Sure, we'll pay lip service to that, right? Like Biden did. And then when you're elected, you won't do a damn thing about it. So as soon as Terry McAuliffe lost on election night, the texts immediately started flying. In fact, a reporter for Politico said this: Democratic members are already texting me, blaming progressives for the debacle in Virginia. Immediately. And then CNN, oh, no, that's the wrong one. And then, so Politico, multiple sources immediately started getting texts from Democrats, immediately started getting texts saying, it's progressives. It's because we listened to them that we lost in Virginia, and we need to move away from them as quickly as we possibly can.
That's some horse poop.
Well, and they were also basically insinuating, too, that he was too far left. He's like the most corporate Democrat. Yeah.
Yeah, McAuliffe is so far left, a bunch of garbage. So, it's hilarious to see these people that come out with this blame game immediately. And it was amazing to actually look at some of the, let's see if I can pull up here.
I mean, it's just nonsense. And it's also ignoring the fact that the president's poll numbers are low. Right. And so the walk the line type Democrat, which is we have in the White House a textbook example of walk the line Democrat, he's unpopular, too. So how do you juxtapose those two pieces of data if you think that progressives are like skewing the message, right, or scaring people or whatever, but the walk the line Democrat who is in office right now is unpopular? Well, then that shows that people don't like the line. We don't want that, right?
They
Walk
do
the
not
line.
They haven't done anything for people. And so what AOC has been fighting for, what Bernie Sanders has been fighting for, they've ignored them.
Yes.
They've said, sit over there, little boy. Sit over there, little girl. Like, no, we cannot
It's very
possibly.
patronizing.
Yes, we can't possibly eliminate student loan debt for people. And watch the audacity. So we've got some CNN bashing segments on the show today. CNN, I can't stand. Watch CNN. Watch Anderson Cooper literally toe the company line on this very issue and ask the most ridiculous question. And watch Van Jones kind of push back, but then also toe the line. This is an interesting moment as they are trying to lick their wounds.
Just the Democratic Party that it's too far left. How much of this is a message just the Democratic Party that it's too far left? I mean, that if you're the Squad or if you're, someone who's been calling for defund police or socialism or democratic socialism. I wonder if Thierry had been able to stick on a message of economic progress, family leave and minimum wage and that kind of stuff, and maybe we wouldn't be making this argument. In other words, there was an economic message from the Democrats that was available and was necessary given the rising costs. But what happened is we pulled out of our own federal bill all the family leave stuff. You're undermining the economic message for Terry McAuliffe and leave him with Trump is bad and vaccine mandates are good. I don't know that this is an up or down vote on progressive politics.
And he leaned in to the school issue. I was stunned when he handed Youngkin the issue of the campaign. I don't think parents should be involved in the schools. And then literally on the eve of the election, he's running around Virginia with Randy Weingarten, the head of the union that kept the schools closed. It's not just the curriculum issue. The schools were closed. Parents were pissed. They knew they should have been open. And McAuliffe not only handed it to Youngkin on a tee, he then at the end of the campaign flipped everyone off and said, I'm going to even run on it even harder. And it has killed him in these suburbs.
Well,
I mean, it's just amazing. Just the question. I mean, I just want to play Anderson Cooper's question again at the beginning.
How much of this is a message just the Democratic Party that it's too far left? I mean, that if you're the squad.
What is that even based on?
Well, because this is the inverse of the Fox News narratives is like, we can't go with these evangelicals, right? We've got sort of also these middle of the line Republicans, and we like these ones, but we don't want that. Like each party has their extreme base, or what they'd like to call their extreme base, right? That want things that they want to pretend that that to ignore.
Well, yeah, but Terry McAuliffe is the furthest thing from a far left
He's
Democrat.
not, and so that's what they're saying, that like
now, let me
the
just say
far
this.
left narrative muddied the water is what I'm hearing from that.
I'll tell you what narrowed what he screwed himself over by saying that we shouldn't listen to parents on as it relates to our education.
Right, which is what this man at the end was saying,
Yeah,
right?
was
The same thing happened to Phil Murphy in New Jersey, that like he made these strict mandates in New Jersey. He also raised taxes at the same time. Like people pay attention to what he actually did.
And so how did he lose? Well, here's how he lost. He lost among white women. White women, Biden, I mean, huge support drop for white women under President Biden. And they fled. And they fled over to this other candidate. I mean, they fled over to Youngkin instead of McAuliffe. That's what happened. I mean, just look at the gap.
Yeah.
And so they lost white women. A 15-point swing. Look at that. 15-point swing to Republicans. In fact, black voters voted for Terry McAuliffe. They all came out and voted for Terry McAuliffe. So who did he lose? He lost white women who thought that he failed, and he was speaking directly on this they were speaking directly on this education issue. That's why he lost. Had nothing to do with AOC. And so I find it so patronizing from somebody like Anderson Cooper to say, why that progressives are to blame, or that the left wing, you guys are so far left.
Well, he's asking the question, I guess. I mean, it's okay to ask the question. Okay.
But it's just, what is it based? That's my point, is what is it based in? It's not based in any fact.
And so you think what he wants is for Democrats to stay in power and toe the line?
I think, yeah, that's exactly what they want. That's what any of these mainstream media companies want. They don't want a Bernie Sanders. They don't want an AOC who's actually going to affect change that would hurt their corporate overlords' bottom line. Time Warner and all these guys. They don't want universal health care. Time Warner and these billion-dollar companies. And so he's a mouthpiece for these billion-dollar companies. I mean, I'm so furious about this.
Or if you're, how much of this is a message just the Democratic Party that it's too far left? I mean, that if you're the squad, or if you're, someone who's been calling for defund police, or socialism.
I mean,
or
the sort of
socialism.
the way he's listing these things off is like, come on, defund the police.
Defund
come on,
the police.
Like we can't have a real conversation about them. They're just a distraction. And when we get these like two woke liberals, get out of here. We can't talk about, Well,
I think fundamentally the problem I have with it is that the people that won the last election were progressives. They were far left. The people that won showed that they wanted to eliminate student loan debt. They wanted universal health care for people. They wanted people to be able to actually have access to affordable health care. They wanted them to not be saddled with massive pharmaceutical costs.
Yes.
All of those things. So those progressives that ran on that message won. Right. Those Ed Markey in Massachusetts, and again, the right place, Ed Markey, who ran on green and climate, won because of that. And then the middle of the road Democrats who didn't adhere to that message, those are the people that lost.
Yeah.
That's why Nancy Pelosi lost seats. So this idea that you're moving too far left actually would help you, is my point. Like, if only Terry McAuliffe had talked about those issues, he might have actually crushed Glenn Youngkin.
Yeah.
That's my perspective on this. Let me know in the chat what you think about this.